Hello boys and girls, welcome to the Virtual Realms YouTube channel. I'm Ranger 1. I've decided to jump in my basic old Catalina. This is the base model. It doesn't come equipped with landing gear of any type. The reason why I keep staring at that base down there is I'm formulating a cunning plan. You see, I don't have landing gear, but I know I don't have enough bombs to win this match. However, there's a river that runs right beside that landing strip, and I'm thinking, you know, I think if I land on that river when I need to reload and repair, I'll be close enough to be considered on the strip. And I should be able to re-outfit my airplane from there. I've never seen anyone do that at that particular airbase. They probably have, and I just haven't caught a video of it, but at the time that I was flying this mission, I had no idea if it was possible or not. And I decided it was high time that I found out. So we're going to attempt to get some effective bombing runs in and set down on that river. There's a bridge at one end of the landing strip and a very shallow area in the river that I'm not sure if I can navigate in this hull or not, or if I hit it, if it's going to rip the bottom right out of my plane. So, well, it should be interesting. It'll be a tricky landing, but it should be entertaining, even if I die a horrible death. So we decide we're going to go for it. My first target is that base up ahead. It's the one on the far left of the combat zone. Now, my boys are out there in fighters, and they're tearing it up, and well, they're losing ground, to be perfectly honest, but that's all right. I get to the drop zone uncontested. One good thing about the Catalina, it's really slow, and normally that's not really a good thing, but when it comes to dropping bombs, that means that your bomb site is almost directly underneath the plane. I can get right up on the base, be very steady, rock steady as a matter of fact, and take my time putting these bombs exactly where I want them to go. And I'll go ahead and I'll drop my full bomb load on this particular base. I know that on most of the maps, a partial bomb load, in this case, a half bomb load would be 2 500-pound bombs. Most bases don't blow up to that, even at this ranking. But I seem to remember that maybe a half bomb load would do it. Well, I didn't take the chance this time. I dropped my full load, they hit, and it takes out the base, which I figured it probably would. But that bugs me because I keep thinking maybe I could have done that with just 2 of my bombs instead of all 4. Well, we're going to have to put that theory to the test. I'm going to swing around and head back to the base now. All of this is for nothing if I can't get myself safely on that river and still be close enough to the landing strip to get another load equipped onto my airplane. I'm hoping that I'll be a good enough pilot to put it down in one piece. And everything after that, well, that's pretty much just gravy. I'm going to cut my throttle back to 0 because one thing this plane doesn't do well, it doesn't descend gracefully. It's very easy to rip this big old wing right off the top of the plane, and it's really easy to go too fast at the same time, so we have to descend slowly and carefully toward the river. Now I'll swing in low, hug the hillside to the right. You'll see the bridge is coming into view. I've got to clear that, but not by a whole lot. Not if I want to land and stop close enough to that airstrip. You see, not only does this plane accelerate slowly, but it decelerates slowly as well. And it'll coast for quite some time on the water itself before it finally comes to a stop. And if I go too far, well, it's going to be really, really difficult to take off again, swing around, and make another attempt. So we need to make this landing count. I'm going to jockey with the throttle a little bit, come in. Alright, we're lined up pretty good. I've got to watch that little dog leg there on the left, just past the bridge. That could tear my wing right off if I'm not careful. Swing it in. I'm a little high, but not too bad. I think my speed's pretty good. Come on. We'll put the landing gear down, such as it is. It's a couple of pontoons, and that's it. I'm hugging that bank. Gotta be careful. Okay. I've cleared the dog leg. And touchdown. Alright. Now, I just need to get stopped in time. And hopefully, it'll be close enough to count as a landing on that strip. You see what I'm saying about it taking a while to lose momentum? I'm going to bring it in a little closer to the bank just to be on the safe side. I get no landing notification yet. There we go. Okay. And I'm rearming. Alright, I think I'm golden. Now, the only thing I have to worry about is what kind of a start do I get? Am I going to have to take off from this river? Because that's going to be kind of a pain if I do. The way I'm angled at the bank right now. Or do I get an air start? And an air start it is. That is perfect. Excellent. I'm at relatively low altitude, but that's alright. I don't necessarily want to be at high altitude right now. I need to avoid detection. I need to slip back over to my next bombing targets without being seen from the air, and frankly, the closer I am to the ground, the harder I'm going to be to see. So I'm going to point my nose back at the other two bases. And I make up my mind that this time around I'm only going to drop 2 bombs on each base. Hopefully that will be enough to take them both out. If I hit the first one and 2 bombs won't do it, I can always swing around and drop my other 2. While all this has been going on, my team has lost a lot of ground. We're down to 2 fighters on our side, and the other team has only taken light losses. The 2 teammates that I have still in the air are both in Gladiator biplanes, so that's a little problematic. Well, I guess they've evened it up. There was a point where they were outnumbered 2 or 3 to 1, but now they've brought it back to 2 on 2. Well, I can live with that. They're a little outmatched as far as the quality of the aircraft that they're flying, but they seem to be pretty good pilots, so, well, we'll leave that part of the battle in their capable hands. I'm going to pick the base on the left and see what damage I can do with 1,000 pounds of good old American bomb. Okay, I'm closing in on the target. I'm just going to dead-eye this drop. And here we go. Bombs away. We'll continue past and veer to the right to line up for the next bomb load that we're going to drop. But I'm going to keep an eye on this base. And it goes down. Alright, 2 bombs will do it. Let's bank and head for the other base. You know what this means? I mean, really it's good news, but it means that I should have gone for the primary objective on this map. There's a bridge that really needed to be blown up. If I'd been smart and had realized 2 bombs would take out these bases, I would have taken out the bridge first and then this first base that I'm going for right now. And then come back for the other 2. If I had done that, we'd be in a lot better position in this map. Bombs away. Looks like they're going to be right on target. Let's take a look. Come on, baby. Don't miss. There it goes. Okay, all 3 bases down. See, there's that pesky bridge. I wish I'd taken that out. Now I don't have any bombs to take it out with. No matter what I do now, I've got to make it all the way back and get re-outfitted before I can do any more good in this match. We do have a significant lead on the ticket counter up above. So we're not in a bad position. I'm just going to have to make some difficult decisions about what my next target. Oh, that's not good. I only see one of my teammates over there. The other one's dead. Well, he did manage to take his opponent with him, and now it's down to a 1 versus 1 as far as the fighter battle goes. Time to head back home. There's nothing else I can do here. Okay, back in position. Lining up. I almost stall out. But we get it lined up again after I give it some juice. And I end up actually coming in a little bit hotter than I did last time. What do you think? Can Ranger put it down again? Or am I going to crack up on the beach? Well, you never know till you try. Pontoons down. We're a little high and a little fast. This is looking a little dicey. There's a shallow part in the river up here that I'm really not sure if I can clear, so I've got to try and slow down as quickly as I can. But I don't have any flaps on this plane either. I've got no way of slowing down other than letting gravity slowly bring me to a halt. This plane's a bit on the heavy side, and it has a lot of momentum. And there's that shallow part right there. Oh, okay, we made it over it. That would have been embarrassing. Now the only question remaining is, can we get stopped in time before we run out of runway? There we go. We got the landing. Okay, we're going to get reloaded again and get back into the fight. As I was about halfway over to the base, I noticed that my last fighter went down. So it's just me and a Russian fighter. And yeah, there are an awful lot of Russian fighters that have no difficulty taking down a Catalina. So now it's just a question of what the next target is going to be. Should I stick to the north of the map and make a run on their airbase? I seriously consider doing that, but I have no guarantee that I have enough of a bomb load to take out their airstrip in one pass, and I doubt seriously that I'm going to get a second attempt to take it out. So I decide I'm going to go after ground targets. I'm going to go after the tanks that are on the ground right now. The ticket counter is definitely in our favor, and it keeps ticking down for both sides as the NPCs kill each other, as the combatants get closer to each other. By the time I get over there, I figure that the ground battle will be just about done. We are so close to winning. I could run and hide, but I'm not going to do that to you, and I'm not going to do that to the fellow on the enemy team either. I pick out the two tanks that are actually closest to the capture zone, the Allied air base that's closest to the action. I could have gone for the ones further away, and that might have been the wiser choice, but I thought, you know, these two tanks are actually the threat. If this were a real battle, these would be the two tanks that I would go after. So that's what I do. I'll get everything lined up, close in on the friendly airfield, and I keep my eyes peeled for that enemy fighter. He's in the area. He has to be. He knows what I'm going to be going for. The only other place he would be is at his own airfield, or if he circled wide and went over to mine. Oh, no, there he is. Lag 3. Well, it could be worse, but God, that lag's not going to have any trouble shooting me down. So, the worst has just happened. Those tanks were lined up pretty well for a bombing run, but the road has curved, and now they've split up. I can only get one of them, and I'm under fire, and I do the wrong thing. I speed up, and I blow my bombing run. I have missed the tank. If I had killed that tank right there, we would have won that match. But I didn't. The ticket counter is so low, but the lag 3 is going to swing around. I open fire on him and I hit him pretty good, but I don't take him down in time. The plane heels over and he takes my wing off and I go down. Look at the ticket counter. I was so very, very close to winning that. It makes my teeth hurt just to look at that up there. Anyway, it was well done on the enemy's on the enemy team's part. Well flown through. So I'm going to do one more mission in the Catalina. I figure I might as well give it another shot. See if I can't get a little bit better result. I came so close in the last mission to pulling that out of the hat that, well, I just have to go again. Now, I know on this map that there really aren't any bases that I can attack, but there are lots of ground targets. My bomb load of 400 or 500 pound bombs is not ideal for this. I have to drop them 2 at a time in realistic mode. So we will dive to the attack and do as much damage as we can with these 400 or 500 pound bombs. There's a lot of enemy aircraft in the area. In this particular match, you start very, very close to the main area of combat, which is good in a way. It makes things go very quickly, but it's a little scary all the same, especially when you're in a largely defenseless bomber. Well, I've got a bunch of machine guns on this thing, but, well, how much damage can you do with some of those? It's not like I'm going to be shooting aircraft down left and right. So I'll make my first bombing run. 1 ground target down. And a second. Alright, that's a good start. And we've gained a slight lead. I'm going slow enough I can pull a high G turn like this, if you can call this a high G turn. And I get a little chewed up by ground fire, and there are enemy aircraft in the area too. My waist gunners are going to open up on something, my tail gunner as well. It's a Hinkles 111. What the heck is this guy doing? He swung in behind me. There's a nose gunner on that plane. I wonder if he's trying to get lined up to try and take me out. Well, he should know better than to sit behind a Catalina. I can bring a whole lot more firepower to bear on him than he can bring to bear on me. And he doesn't even get off a shot. I take out his engine on his right wing, and down he goes. Now it's time to clear the area just as quickly as I possibly can. Those fighters are way too close for comfort. My gunners are already opening up on some of them, but fortunately they have their hands full. We've still got a lot of friendly fighters in the area, and I have time to make my escape and head back to base. But now I face my second big problem. While there is a river on this map, and it's a beautiful river, it doesn't go close enough to my Allied landing strip for me to land on that river and have it count as a landing for resupply. Since I don't have wheels to land on, I'm going to have to do a belly landing on that strip. Fortunately, I have an ample belly, and so does my plane. So I should be able to do this. I've done this before, and a lot of pilots can. It's not that difficult as long as you don't have too much speed and you don't come in at too steep an angle. So all I have to do is get my speed right and have a steady hand. I make sure and put my pontoons down because, you know, that's going to help. And actually, I hit it just about perfect. Skidding on the belly of the plane, it comes to a halt fairly rapidly, and it's pretty much a textbook landing. If you can call any landing on a dry land strip in a seaplane with no landing gear textbook. War Thunder is gracious enough to give me an air start, and a couple of minutes later I am closing in at high velocity, relatively speaking, on the area of combat. An air start in the Catalina is interesting. They start you at just above stall speed, so you do have to be a little bit careful. You're not going to gain altitude, but that's okay because in this case, I really didn't want to. I'm going to keep it low, see if I can lay in some supporting fire for the friendly fighters that are still alive, and see if I can do a little precision bombing. I want to focus on the tanks, I think. I'm equipped to take them out, and I don't believe that anyone else that's still alive on my team is. So I'm going to go after those targets primarily that I know I can take out that nobody else can. Now, the Catalina is not agile. I can't flip over and go to one of the tanks to the side after this bombing run, so I'm going to have to take whatever is lined up in front of me, but the first tank goes down. We'll line up on another target, which I think in this case is an anti-aircraft gun. It's in the second cluster of targets. Oh, no, it's another tank. Alright, we're going to go after that. Bombs away. And another kill. Alright, that worked out pretty good. I'm taking some incidental ground fire. I can absorb a fair amount of that, so I'm not too worried about it. Unless it catches me in an engine, or if it hits me just right, it could damage my wing, but I think I can weather it all right. My hull is going to absorb most of the damage that any other plane would have to really worry about. And that's one advantage that the Catalina has. There aren't many of them, but there are a couple. On my way out, I'm going to open some fire up on the ground targets behind me, but I'm just a little too far out, and firing behind and down is not the Catalina's strong point. So, well, not normally. And ground targets are a little bit difficult to get a bead on. So, I'm going to head back to the landing strip and get re-outfitted again, presuming I don't crack it up upon landing. You know, I've always loved the Catalina, ever since I was a kid. I remember seeing some old war movies that featured Catalinas, and I just fell in love with the plane for some reason. I thought it was beautiful. Well, I still do. My dream, when I was a very young lad, we're talking pre-10, was to grow up one day and get enough money to where I could buy a Catalina, or something very similar to it, and outfit it as a luxury home. One that I could fly anywhere in the world, land on any convenient waterway, and travel to my heart's content. Now, I know that's very impractical, but, you know, when you're a kid, stuff like that captures your imagination. And every time I fly this Catalina in-game, it takes me back to that just a little bit. And I always will have a soft spot in my heart for these planes, even though they are incredibly difficult to do well in most matches in War Thunder. Well, we've made a second successful landing. Time to head back into the fray. Hello, boys. Time to wrap this up. We've got one friendly fighter still left in the air, and the only plane still up on the enemy team is a Stuka. Well, that's not too bad. We should be able to handle this just fine. I mean, after all, the Buffalo is a very capable aircraft in War Thunder for some unknown reason. And he ought to be able to handle the Stuka with no problem at all, assuming he's in position to do so. So we're going to go ahead and close on the combat zone, and just in case he runs into some unforeseen difficulty, I would like to make sure that we've won the ground war as well. Well, we've made it to the combat zone, and there's the Stuka ahead of me and to my right. Only problem is, my friendly fighter is completely out of position. He's nowhere near me at this point in time, and the Stuka is diving to the attack. Take a few incidental nicks, but he's right on me, and he's decided that he's going to be able to chew my tail off, or my engines, and take me out of the fight before I can do any more damage. Well, my rear gunners will open up on him eventually here. I'm going to go ahead and let them do their dirty work while I take out a couple of more ground targets. That's still not quite good enough on the ticker, so I'm not going to make it back to the base with this guy on my tail, so I take over the guns manually. And I decide to start putting some shots into him. He's a Stuka, and I should be able to take him down with my 50 calibers without too much difficulty. Why the Buffalo is way over there, I have no idea. Maybe he ran out of ammunition. Well, I can't get a good shot at this guy. He's trying really hard to stay in my dead spot, where I can't shoot him with any of my guns. He's actually a pretty skilled pilot. I start manually manipulating the rudder to swing the tail back and forth to enable me to get some shots on him. And finally I managed to work him into a position beneath me and to the side. Normally that wouldn't be a bad position for him to be in, but I've got that belly gunner in the tail of my aircraft, and it allows me to get some good shots straight down into his engine, and I take him out of the match. Well, I may be smoking, but I'm still alive, and, well, he's not. So it wasn't exactly how I intended to win this match, but it's a win nonetheless. Oh, hi Buffalo. You're a little late to the party. It's all over now. Well, this was just a fun little romp in the Catalina, one of my favorite goofy planes in War Thunder, and thanks for joining me. Until I see you again, good hunting.